So taking a few deep breaths to begin. And you could close the eyes initially just to gather the mind inside. Noticing how the body is feeling for you tonight. The exhalations, each exhalation an invitation to settle in, to let the body begin to relax, to let go of your interest in the content of thoughts, so that thoughts may still come, of course they will, and just unplugging or unhooking so that they come and go, and you take very little interest, other than maybe noting there's a thought. And if it's helpful to think this, you could consider that at the end of the practice tonight, when we close the class, anything that's really worth your attention in terms of thoughts and problems you're solving and so forth, that those, you can trust that those thoughts will come back if they're necessary. So with that, letting go into the body breathing. And we'll do a little bit of a body scan to help grounding, to help this process of relaxation and letting go. So bringing curiosity into the soles of the feet now. On the 10 toes. On the band of gentle pressure, the toes attaching to the feet. The tops of the feet. See if you can discern what is soft in the feet, what is hard. And what is directly known, the pressure, temperature, tingling. It's possible you could feel your pulse in the feet, the heart beating. And from there, moving up the legs a little bit into the ankles and the lower leg, the calf, the shins. To the knees and thighs. Again, what is alive? What is known directly, felt or sensed? Legs. And coming into the lower torso, to the pelvis, the hips, the pelvic floor, the front body and back body here, the sides. If you're upright, feeling the weight borne in the seat. Then moving up to the lower belly, kind of the level of the navel. Feeling for the lower spine. Maybe using the spine as a focus as you rise up the body with your attention. Becoming aware of the upper back and the rib cage. And then within the torso, both in the belly and the chest, all these vital organs. Tissue and fluid. Just seeing what can you directly sense or feel or know. Bringing the attention right up to the top of the chest, the front ribs, right up into the collarbones and shoulders. And slowly making your way down each arm. To the hands and fingers. Again, feeling the pulse, maybe feeling the tingling of the hands, the life energy. Almost a vibratory quality. And back up. Bringing your curiosity into the throat, the neck. Again, what is soft, what is hard. Up the back of the head, the skull. And the sides, the ears, and the face in front. The jaw relaxed, the cheeks, and the muscles around the eyes relaxed, the forehead smooth. And coming to know the whole body. Connecting with the breath moving in the body, nice, full, smooth, steady breath. Finding for yourself tonight where the breath is most vivid for you, where it holds the most interest. Is it the tip of the nose? And the rise and fall of the chest or the belly? Or the fourth option would be the whole body moving with breath. And deciding now which will be your focus and will rest in the breath. For five or so minutes, I'm going to leave you in silence to simply know the breath in that one spot, or in that one way, if it's the whole body breathing. And you could note in as you breathe in and out as you breathe out, or you could count. Breathe and know the breath. In a thought, just gently, just simply release it. Come back to the breath. Notice the quality of your attention. Is it filled with anticipation, leaning into the next breath? And could it be more relaxed? Could it be kind of a leaning back in the moment, receiving the breath? And receiving it with fresh eyes, so to speak, fresh awareness. Without expectation. And let's add in a sense of friendliness towards ourselves, towards the experience of being with the breath. Seeing what works for you. Do you turn to verses of loving kindness? You could try reciting some friendly, loving phrases towards yourself. May I be safe and healthy. May I be patient and kind. Or if you prefer, I am safe and healthy. I am patient and kind. I am wise and loving. Whatever words resonate for you that your heart opens to. And you could combine that with a sense of inhaling peace of mind, contentment. So as you breathe in, imagining the space around you filled with a loving energy, clear, luminous light that as you breathe in, it fills the body, fills the mind. And as you exhale, exhaling whatever is heavy, whatever is resistant, whatever you're done with. So nourishing yourself with breath and with thought. See if you can notice and remove any barriers to receiving well-being. We can combine this with the thoughts of a benefactor, somebody in your life, either currently or in the past, who was very supportive of you, who you felt loved by, encouraged by. It could even be a moment. It doesn't have to be embodied in a person who was unfailingly kind, but it could be a kind moment of love. Maybe when you noticed someone recognizing your good qualities, loving you just as you are. And could you really let that in? Could you feel deeply connected and deeply loved? And if it works to return the loving kindness to whoever it was that came to mind as a benefactor, you could imagine sending them safety and health, acceptance. And you could begin to include other people who come to mind. So uncomplicated people for you. You have a natural or moments of natural affection for. And whoever comes to mind is just fine. And sending them loving kindness, feeling that they are held in this luminous, loving light. And using your imagination, following through that they feel it, that they experience it, that they smile, that they relax, that they feel the love that you're sending. Again, these can be people from the present or the past, living or already passed away. It could be animal, pets. And you could stay with one or two figures, or you could continue to add people who come to mind, embracing them in this loving energy field. Holding them with this kindness, this respectfulness. It's a caring sentiment, as if you could reach out and hold these loved ones' hands or give them a hug. Imagine the force of your imagination, the force of the loving energy enveloping them. And we'll begin to include strangers. So starting, if you can, with somebody specific. Somebody that works at the bank or the grocery store whose face you're familiar with, but you don't really know anything else about them. A waitress, a nurse, Someone in your neighborhood who you haven't quite met, you know which house they live in. Seeing if you can get a sense that these figures, these characters, these people are as vivid and real as we ourselves are. They are living beings with complex experience, the whole life story. Completely worthy of love. Then we can build on that connection with a few strangers, and we can bring to mind whole groups of strangers now, both locally and abroad. People living in fear, people living with war, with poverty. And as much as we ourselves wish to be free from war and from bodily harm and from fear, so do others. And so we send them this understanding, this connection in our heart. And may you be free from fear and free from danger. May you be free from being harmed or from harming others. May there be an end to confusion and to fear and to greed, to hatred. Buddha called these afflictions. May living beings be free from affliction. Let's see if you can imagine all living beings without exception, human and animal, in all directions now. Held in loving kindness. if it's within reach, moving from loving kindness through compassion to joy. Sending a lightheartedness for yourself and others. And may there be laughter, may there be ease. May there be acts of kindness and generosity amongst beings. And finally, as we prepare to close the formal meditation, touching into a sense of balance or equanimity, the stillness. Either energetically within the body, and the quietness of the mind. That sense of immovability. Letting the eyes open. Bringing that stillness into your wakefulness. Making any movements that you're craving, adjusting your seat, adjusting your body. I think what strikes me tonight is the immeasurable quality of loving kindness, and that it is not interested in, one being over another. I know we talked about this earlier probably back in January. I mentioned the idea of loving kindness being like the sun shining. So our practice of love is unconditional, the way that the sun shines unconditionally on the earth. It shines on all beings. Sometimes beings are in the shade. They have different things going on where they're not receiving the light of the sun, but the sun is still there and it's still shining. And so this loving kindness that is available to tap into, you could say, is not it's unwavering. It has that same feature like the equanimity that I was coming around to at the end here, this immovability, this stillness. The loving kindness is ever available and available without, doesn't matter what you do. So loving kindness, for example, Putin, just as deserving as a person in the Ukraine who is being attacked by his army. This can be challenging for us, probably not for this group, because you've all been around the teachings long enough to know that this is what is taught, that it's not there aren't faulty people, there's faulty minds, or not even faulty minds, but minds that give rise to suffering. And so someone like a oligarch or a dictator, a warlord, just as deserving of loving kindness. There's a story, it's told in the book that we're following, the Loving Kindness in Plain English. It's told, and it's one that I'm familiar with. It's told in the Tibetan traditions as well, of Angulimala. So this is this character from the time of the Buddha. And mala, means rosary, like prayer beads. And Anguli means finger. So this warlord's name was Angulimala, garland of fingers, because what he did is he rampaged the countryside, killing innocent people, just was bloodthirsty, just liked the power and control over others. And he would, all of his victims, he would take a finger from and he would add it to his necklace. And the story goes that the Buddha would have been his 1,000th victim. So he had this 999 finger necklace. And he saw the Buddha, this peaceful monk walking across the landscape. And he thought, aha, there's another person I can kill. He thirsted for it. He got excited and went running after the Buddha. This story has a bit of supernatural powers in it. So the way that it's told is that the Buddha kept walking, and you can imagine like we do our walking meditation, slowly, step by step. There he is in his robes, maybe carrying his bowl, just walking along. And Angulimala was running as fast as he could, and he couldn't catch up to the Buddha. So he's exerting, running, and the Buddha's just peacefully walking, and he can't close the distance, and he starts shouting out to the Buddha, stop, stop. And Buddha turns and he says, Angulimala, I have stopped. It's you who needs to stop. And in that moment, something turned in Angulimala's mind, and he came to see what the Buddha meant by stopping. Stopping greed, stopping hatred, stopping confusion. And he took up the holy life. He ordained as a monk and attained enlightenment in that lifetime. That's how this story goes. And I think I always thought it was a bit of a funny story until I recognized my own inner Angulimala, until I identified with this character as even me, with all of my faults, all the mistakes, all the hatred and greed and the afflictions in my mind, even I can stop, even I can attain enlightenment, according to the story. I mean, of course, it also works to consider others, people that we think are evil or who have done evil things. We can see that they have Buddha nature too, that if they were free from what's afflicting them, that they wouldn't do the things they're doing. If they understood the harm that they're creating for others and for their future self, they would stop, right? But for me, it's also powerful as a worthiness, that even though I've done things I'm not proud of, I still can stop now. Yeah. So how does that land for folks, or how did the meditation land for you tonight? Do you find, I think Jim was sharing last week that you're finding that it's kind of starting to flavor your experience? The meditation on loving kindness is kind of, you're taking it on board in a way that you hadn't in the past. So I don't know if others are experiencing that. We're now 3 months into just this one topic again and again. I love everybody. Tracy says she loves everybody. Is that what you just said? Yeah. It's nice. Do you remember a time when you didn't? Mm-hmm. So this is a result of practice. Maybe. Yeah, it feels nice to include everyone. You know, it's like when we're holding somebody outside of forgiveness and outside of love, it's actually painful for us to carry that burden. A lot of energy too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Andrea says a lot of energy too. It does take. I think another feature of it is, in terms of the practice, is just keeping at it in a way, sort of steadily keeping at it, even though we can't force it. Like you can't make yourself forgive or make yourself love in a forceful way, like just through sheer determination. But it's like if we revisit it again and again, particularly identifying it within ourselves, so that when we look at others, we really know that they are the same as us. And that at the heart of it, this was something I heard over and over and over again. And for whatever reason, I found it very hard to take on. And it's this very simple truth that all beings want to be happy. Because you look around and you're like, no, they don't. If they wanted to be happy, they would smarten up, wouldn't they? They would stop doing those things they're doing. But honestly, it doesn't mean they don't still wish to be happy. They're just confused. This is why we're always using this word confusion or ignorance, is people are confused about what will cause happiness. They think it's the next Amazon order or the next time they release the feeling of bloodthirst or wanting to hurt or wanting to lash out.
Sometimes I think that it's going to be difficult to extend like loving kindness to a particular figure, but then when I sit and I try to do it, it's usually surprisingly easier than whatever I've been doing before.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's just a product of practice or I'm just getting older, but like, you know, just
Yeah.
when you're like, I always find it surprisingly. I like when you think that you're gonna have this big conversation, it's gonna be difficult, and you like try to plan in advance. This person's gonna be mad when I have to explain this to them. But often when you just have that conversation, it's nowhere near as bad as your brain imagined it to be.
Beautiful.
I find the same kind of extending that feeling to people. It's easier than I thought. Thinking about it, it's harder.
Yeah, but when you get around to it. So Andrea is saying that when she finally does, maybe choose somebody that she's had difficulty with and send them loving kindness, that it's actually easier than she thought it would be, and easier than holding on to the bad feelings or Jillian, I saw you lean forward. Were you gonna
I find I need constant reminders of the loving kindness. Yes, that's what keeps me coming back.
Yeah.
I like this topic because for me, I need reminders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you find that it gets in now? Like, do you find that you're receiving some self-compassion, care?
Sometimes more than others. Yes,
Mhm.
sometimes more, but it's soothing. It's soothing. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is. I'm delighted. I don't know if we should shift to a different book, or the other thing that's been going on in my mind is having some of you take a turn with leading a session, which we haven't done in a couple of years, and I think that might add some freshness. Jim looks confused. He's like, what? Yeah, let me give that some thought, and I'll reach out individually to those of you who might want to lead a meditation and talk about some aspect of loving kindness.
Mhm.
Yeah. Good. Well, let's close unless there's other comments or questions. No. We'll just take a minute to revisit the stillness. You could try, if your eyes were closed for the duration, you could try just leaving the eyes open and unfocusing the gaze, so just softening. Letting yourself feel the body and feel the breath in the body. And if it is easily recalled or brought to mind, the feeling of goodwill, the feeling of friendliness for your own experience and for the experience of others. You know, and in light of Jillian's comment, we could dedicate towards remaining close to our understanding of loving kindness, so that loving kindness begins to imbue our mind throughout the day, that we easily remember kindness towards ourselves and others. May our practice be a cause of liberation. May there be peace, may there be peace, may there be peace.
Thank you.
Thank you. And to stop the recording.